to Mr. Bobby Barrel. I'm talking about Robert Hassell III. Just got traded from the Padres to the Washington Nationals. He's 20 years old. I have a huge bias towards this player, so I'm going to let Ross run with this one and just let him give you the stats. But I want everybody to know that Bobby Barrel is my hero.
So I was going to say, Brian, you should run with this one because I know you love him.
Yeah.
But I'll go ahead and I'll do the rundown of the stats and then I'll turn it back over to you. So Robert Hassell played this season as a 20-year-old. He's now 21. Last season made his debut, and we're talking about the number 8 overall pick in the 2020 draft. So last season made his debut in the low minors, single A and high A. 516 plate appearances. He hit .303 with a .393 OBP and a .470 slugging percentage. Pretty good slash line for a 19-year-old in the low minors. He hit 11 home runs and 34 stolen bases. So a lot of speed coming out of that position in practically a full season worth of plate appearances.
Yep. This
season was a bit of a mixed bag, I would say. So he started again repeating high A, which is maybe not ideal, but last season he only had 87 plate appearances, so not surprising that he started there. He played a little more than half a season there. Again, put up pretty good numbers, 299 batting average, 379 on-base percentage, and a 467 slugging percentage. 10 home runs and 20 stolen bases. So again, showing the power speed combo. Where things started getting a little sticky for him is after he was promoted to AA. Really, a lot of this has to do with when he
got traded
to the Nationals.
Yeah.
He seemed to start slumping at that point. So in high A with the Nationals, his numbers started lagging. They promoted him to AA. I'm not going to dwell on the high A stats too much because it's a pretty small sample. But in 122 plate appearances at AA, he only hit .222 with a .312 OBP and a .296 slugging percentage. That slugging percentage is way too low. Even for somebody that's just a contact hitter, that's way too low. So his numbers overall in the season, I think they were brought down quite a bit from that period. And I don't know exactly what was going on with Robert Hassell, but I know he was kind of becoming a favorite of a lot of analysts out there. Somebody that getting into the top 10 range, I know like Eric Cross, that was like one of his favorite players, and he's one of your favorite players. That finished the season. I hope that there was an injury maybe that was hampering his production, or maybe it had something to do with his trade to the Nationals and, just a new organization and uncertainty that was bothering him. But it's not a real promising stat line for somebody that's a top 10 prospect.
Sure. There's been a few other players that I know you've been very keen on that have had this trend, I guess, if you want to call it that. What I see out of this trend, and I could be completely off base, so take this with a grain of salt, but it looks like he struggles with change. He blows up A, goes to A plus, and just struggles. And then he repeats A, crushes it, gets traded, and just struggles. So the trend to me looks like he doesn't like change, but then he figures it out. So I'm really excited for this year to see him in AA at he'll be 21 all year. Yeah, he'll be 21 all year in AA to see what his stats look like, because I think he's going to annihilate it. And I kind of want to be proven right and see him get called up to AAA and for him to slump. because that's exactly what I see in all these stats right here is that just a little bit of a change and he falters, but then he figures it out. Which
Yeah, I think that's a pretty astute observation. I mean, I don't know that I picked up on that quite as much, and I think the trade to the Nationals kind of threw me off a little bit, but that makes a lot of sense that it has to do with change. You know, I know exactly what you're thinking about. There's an adaptation period, right? It takes a little bit of time to get adjusted to your surroundings, and that could be in all regards. That might be being with the new team. It might be facing a new level of pitching, seeing new pitches and different kinds of pitches, and the new level of pitching being a little more adept at exploiting your weaknesses.
It's something as small as you have a different color uniform on. You know, honestly, just those little things that you need to get, you know, dialed into.
Adaptation is a profound process.
Yeah, for sure.
You learn how to survive in the world.
Some of those changes got to be rough on people. So I appreciate stats doing this, and I see it quite a bit, especially when you see like 100 at bats, and their stats are just in the toilet. Well, they just had to change their whole lifestyle.
Do you still see an all-star in Robert Hassell?
Yes, I want to say that I see more than an all-star out of Bobby Batts. I actually think that he's going to be a premier player in the entire league. I think he's going to be unreal. And I think he's going to lead off for the Nationals for the next 12 plus years. He'll be starting in the bigs in 2024.
That's what our ETA tool says too, 2024.
And he'll be 22 years old.
I think the ceiling for him could be a guy with maybe slightly above league average power and pretty good speed, possible 2020 kind of player. He doesn't grade out that well at Scout the Statline. They see him as 11 home runs and 16 stolen bases on average. It's not far off. He'd have to exceed that power output expectation a little bit, but I think it's possible, and he's got the pedigree to do it too. So it's just a matter of if he does figure out those levels as we were talking about and figures it out at the major league level, I think he could be an impact player.
So really, really high regards on my side, and Ross is kind of ho-hum.
I like him. I think he's slightly overrated, but I do like him.
Okay.
If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and of course visit our website, scoutthestatline.com for more.